In the previous chapter, we studied that the building blocks of elements or compounds are molecules, right? The building blocks of be it an element or compound are molecules. In case of an element, the molecule consists of same type of identical, you can say, identical atoms. Okay, molecule is made up of identical atoms. And in case of compound, molecule is made up of different atoms. So this is something which we have to know. This is a prerequisite in order to understand the content of the current chapter which we're going to discuss. Okay, so the very first thing which we going to talk about is Lavoisier's laws of chemical combinations. Okay, it is a very famous laws which were published by the end of 18th century. So as part of this laws of chemical combination, if you see here, so there are two laws: law of conservation of mass, yeah, and another law of constant proportion. So let us try to understand what they are. So law of conservation of mass is simple. Okay, so what it talks about actually is when a chemical reaction happens. Suppose there are two substances A and B. Okay, they react with each other and form a compound C. So what this talks about, law of conservation of mass, is that during this chemical reaction the mass will remain same, yeah, or in other words we can say mass of A plus mass of B, yeah, is equal to mass of C. Mass will remain conserved, no loss in mass. The second law is law of constant proportion. It means in any chemical compound, for example, let us take H2O. Okay, the elements will be present in a constant proportion. For example, if you take a sample of water from source A, the ratio of mass of hydrogen is to oxygen will be constant. Means be it from source 1, source 2 or source 3, from whichever source you pick the water, you will find same proportion of hydrogen and oxygen. So this is how they used to get combined and form a compound. So in case of water, the ratio of mass of hydrogen and oxygen is 1:8. In case of ammonia, as per this law, mass of the ratio of mass of nitrogen is to ratio of mass of hydrogen will be fixed and it will come out to be 14:3. Yeah, so these are the two fundamental laws of chemical science. So now let us talk about another law which is called Dalton's atomic theory. So this is a very important achievement. Okay, they consist of basically 6 postulates. So let me summarize it to you what they mean. Yeah, it simply says that all matters are made up of some indivisible particles. Okay, so see, pay attention here. All matter is made up of some indivisible particle. What those indivisible particles are? Said he, those particles are atoms. So before we go further, let me tell you, this Dalton's atomic theory is entirely based upon this Lavoisier's law of chemical combinations. Okay, let us come back here. So all matter is made up of indivisible particles called atoms. So that means atoms, if you want, you cannot create and you cannot destroy also. This is one of the postulate of Dalton's atomic theory. Yeah, so it says that the atoms of an element, okay, are identical in nature. Suppose we have an element A and I have taken sample of element A here. It consists of molecules, which are the building blocks of element, and finally the molecules consists of atoms. So let us say these are the atoms of elements A. So Dalton's atomic theory says that all the atoms are identical in nature, means they'll have same mass and they will display same set of chemical properties. Another thing which Dalton's atomic theory talks about is the atoms of element A will differ from atoms of another element, say element B. Yeah. So element B will made up of altogether different atoms. Means the atoms of element A, yeah, atoms of element A and atoms of elements B, they will not be identical. Yeah, this is one of the important postulates of Dalton's atomic. So there are some questions which are given on page number 2. Okay, so let us start and solve them. Let's see what the question number 1 talks about. It says in a reaction 5.3 gram of sodium carbonate, this is sodium carbonate guys, Na2CO3 reacted with 6 gram of acetic acid. We have given the volume. The products were 2.2 gram of carbon dioxide, 2.2 gram, 0.9 gram water, yeah, 8.2 gram sodium acetate. Yeah, it says, it asks us to prove that the observation are in agreement with the law of conservation of mass. So if you sum it up, you will find the mass of reactants. It will come out to 11.3 gram, and similarly if you sum some of the products, you will find the mass of the products 11.3 gram. So it is clearly evident that they are in accordance with the law of conservation of mass. Let's take next question. Hydrogen and oxygen combine in the ratio 1:8 by mass to form water. Okay, so what mass of oxygen gas would be required? Yeah, hydrogen and oxygen, the ratio is 1:8 by mass. Yeah, what mass of oxygen gas would be required to react completely with 3 gram of hydrogen? Yeah, so this is given factor. So how much is given? Given is mass of oxygen, and what is the quantity? 3 gram. It is asking us to find out how much oxygen gas would be required. So using this we can find out. It is very simple. See, 3 is to, suppose this is mass of oxygen, we know 1:8, and you can find out the mass of oxygen. It will come out to be 24 gram. The next question, which postulates of Dalton's atomic theory is the result of law of conservation of mass? This is very important. Just give a thought. Which postulate of Dalton's atomic theory is the result of the law of conservation of mass? See, atoms are indivisible particles. It cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction. It is one of the postulate of Dalton's atomic theory. That means A plus B equal to C plus T. Number of atoms of reactants equal to number of atoms of products. The next question is, which postulates of Dalton's atomic theory can explain the law of definite proportion? It is, see, the relative number and kinds of atoms are constant in a chemical compound. This is the answer. The next question, the next concept which we're going to talk about is atomic mass. This is one of the most remarkable achievement of Dalton's atomic theory. So that's why we still refer Dalton's atomic theory. You can say that it is one of the genius work done by Mr. Dalton. Okay, so let us try to understand what is atomic mass. So as the word suggests, as this name suggests, this is the mass of an atom, right? So now, guys, what do you think? How to measure the mass of an atom? Can we weigh it by putting one atom on a weighing machine? Is it possible? Of course not. It is not possible. So the scientific community came up with a concept called relative atomic mass. There is a concept of relative atomic mass. Yeah. So as the name suggests, the mass of every atom will be measured against some reference against some reference value, you can say. So what is that reference value? Let me write it for you. What is that reference value? So that reference value is 1/12, yeah, of the mass of C12 isotope. Okay, so for now we are not required to know anything about isotope. So let us concentrate on C12. C12 is a normal carbon atom. Okay, so carbon atom, the atomic mass of carbon atom is 12. As simple as that. So 1/12 of the mass of the carbon atom is simple 1 unit. Yeah. So we find out we have calculated the mass of atoms of every element uh, in comparison to this value. Okay. So the atomic mass of C12 isotope is how much? You can say 12 unit. Okay. So relatively, so similarly we have found out the mass of different elements. So for example, if you go ahead and if you go ahead and refer the atomic mass table, we will find that these are the things. The atomic mass of hydrogen atom is how much? 1 unit. Yeah, 1 AMU, rather you can say atomic mass unit. AMU, atomic mass unit. Okay. So yeah, atomic mass of nitrogen is 14 AMU. Atomic mass of carbon is 12 AMU. Atomic mass of oxygen is 16. Atomic mass of sodium is 23, and so on. So we have 100 plus elements in our periodic table. Okay, and one more thing I would like to tell you guys. So it was Mr. Dalton who used this symbol to represent an element. For example, if you want to refer hydrogen, we are not required to write hydrogen every time. We will use the symbol H. So similarly, if we have to refer sodium, so we can use a symbol Na. So later on, a scientific body was established for naming convention. So that is known as IUPAC. The next concept which we are going to talk about is valency. You see here, valency is the combining capacity of the atom of an element. It is simple. It is simple. Okay. So before we go on with the valencies of metallic and non-metallic ions, okay. So for example, let's see. So sodium has a valency of +1. You can say calcium. This is C is calcium. Calcium has a valency of +2. Yeah. So similarly for others, non-metallic ions, valency of hydrogen is +1, hydride is -1. This kind of things. Yeah. So you can understand these things. This entire concept is based upon um, the structure of an atom. Okay. So in the next chapter you will study that an atom is made up of nucleus and electrons. Under nucleus, some protons and neutrons reside, and outside nucleus, electrons exists. There are various theory. Okay, so they exist and keep on rotating. Okay, across in multiple orbit. So every orbit has certain capacity. So for example, this is O1 orbit 1, this is, sorry, this is O1 orbit 1, this is orbit 2, this is orbit 3, and so on. Okay, so every orbit has certain capacity. For example, orbit 2 has a capacity of accommodating 8 electrons. So if it has 6 electron, okay, if it has 6 electron, then in that case it would look forward to borrow 2 more electrons from the combining element. Yeah, this is how the valency is derived. So if this is the case, we can say the valency is how much? It is looking for 2 more electrons. Okay, so you can say it is minus 2. So similarly, if if the if the second orbit has if the orbit of an element, for example, let us say third orbit, yeah, it has certain capacity. As far as I remember, to 8 10, I think it is 10 or 18. Okay, let us say the capacity of the third orbit is 18. Okay, it is just an example. Okay, and suppose the number of electrons in the third orbit is 16, or not 16, sorry, it is 3. So in that case it requires 15 more electrons to fulfill the need of third orbit. So what it would prefer to do in this case, rather borrowing, it would give up this, it will donate this 3 electrons from orbit 3. Okay, and will get stabilized up to second orbit. Okay, so in this case the valency will come out to be plus 3. So this is how the concept of valency is derived, but anyway we can discuss it later while going through chapter number 4. So this is just a heads up for you. So these are the valencies of some metallic ions. You can refer your textbooks. So now the main thing which we're going to talk about is polyatomic ions. As the name suggests, they consist of different types of atoms. For example, ammonium has NH4 plus, so you can say its valency is +1. Carbonate, its valency is -2. So similarly for others. So the main thing is how to write chemical formula of a compound. So there are some rules defined. It is there in your textbook. Okay, you can. So let us go through it. So what the rule number 1 says: when a compound consists of a metal and non-metal, so the symbol of metal is written first. That we have to take care. Rule number 2: in compounds formed with polyatomic ions, the number of ions are represented using a subscript outside the bracket enclosing ions. For example, this is a polyatomic ions, and we have used subscript outside the bracket. Yeah. So for example, let us take a very simple compound HCl, hydrochloric acid. How they used to form compound, or how can you write chemical formula of hydrogen chloride? Yeah. So see, hydrogen, what's its valency? Refer to the table. +1. Yeah, 1 plus. What is the valency of chlorine? Cl, chloride, Cl minus, 1 minus. Okay, and now you just crisscross, they will negate each other, the charges will negate each other. One positive charge will get negated by one negative charge. It is quite obvious, and this is how we can write down the formula of hydrogen chloride. It is HCl. The next compound is hydrogen sulfide. Yeah. So see, what is the valency of hydrogen? We know +1, and sulfur -2. We need to neutralize the charges. So what we going to do? How can we do that? So in that case, we need to take 2 atoms of hydrogen. Okay, +2 will neutralize -2. So CCl4. So carbon plus 4 and chloride minus 1. Go ahead and take 4 chlorine atoms, CCl4. So this is the way we used to write a chemical formula. Yeah. So similarly, you can write a chemical formula for other chemicals. So these are written over here. In fact, these are available in your textbook also. So then the next concept which we going to talk about is molecular mass. This is simple, guys. So it is, as the name suggests, this is the sum of the atomic mass of all the atoms of a molecule. It also expresses in AMU. Yeah. Formula, this is something. So you can, there are lots of questions which is available in your textbook. You can solve it. How can you solve it? It is very simple. The way we used to solve this part, atomic mass. Okay. So they will ask you to calculate the molecular mass of relative molecular mass of a molecule of some compound. For example, example 3.1. Okay, calculate the relative molecular mass of water, H2O. Yeah. So hydrogen atom, we know its mass, its atomic mass, it is 1 unit. So what is the formula of water? It is H2O. Yeah. So we require two atoms of hydrogen. So it will be 2 into 1 unit. And what is the next concept which we're going to discuss is mole. So mole is, what is mole? Mole is SI unit, okay, of amount of substance in chemistry, while studying chemistry. So it is mole. So 1 mole of substance, 1 mole of any substance, okay, the substance consists of a fixed number of particles. Okay, it consists of a fixed number of particles. Yeah. So that particular fixed number is 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. So 1 mole of a substance, you can say it consists of 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. It has it was derived by Mr. Avogadro, so its name is Avogadro's number also. Okay, so this molar mass of atoms, you can say it is equal to gram atomic mass. See, I have written it for you. Mole, SI unit of amount of substance. Yeah, 1 mole of a substance is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 particles. Avogadro's number. So molar mass of atoms is equal to gram atomic mass. I have taken an example here. So atomic mass of helium is an element. You can refer to the atomic mass table. Okay, you will find that the atomic mass of helium is 4 unit. Okay, so what does it mean? Molar mass of helium is 4 gram. So now if I ask you how many atoms it contains, you can straight away say Avogadro's number, that is 6.022 into 10 to the power 23.